Welcome back to Vibe Podcast. Today we're discussing Part 2, the 1970 Isdal Woman timeline with recap, a topic researched for us by David Morgan. I'm joined by Charles and Angela.
Hello, Alice. I'm Charles, and I've spent years delving into the enigma of the Isdal Woman, poring over every detail of her movements, aliases, and the perplexing circumstances of her death.
And I'm Angela, an historian specializing in Norway in the early 1970s. I'm here to provide some context on the country, its society, and the local events surrounding this enduring mystery.
Thank you both of you and David for our excellent Norwegian sources. Charles, let's continue from when she arrives in Bergen in November 1970. What does our timeline reveal?
If you remember, on November 19th, she checks into Hotel Hordarheimen in Bergen, again as Elisabeth Lienhauer, staying until the 23rd. Notice she used a Z spelling for Elizabeth, which is not European. Staff describe her as elegant, smoking long South State cigarettes, and having a strong, spicy scent. She's also seen at a goldsmith's, inquiring about silver cutlery to be shipped to Germany. Most importantly, on November 19th, forestry workers report seeing her at 3 p.m. in the Isdalen Valley.
So, very close to where she was eventually found. What happens after her last hotel checkout?
On November 23rd, she visits Bergen Privatbank to exchange Swedish crowns, possibly using a traveler's check belonging to a man named Schulman, which later becomes significant in the police evidence. She then goes to the train station and places 2 suitcases into storage. After this, there's a significant gap of 6 days in activity until her body is discovered.
The train station locker would have offered a discreet way to store belongings for a time. It also means she wouldn't have been burdened with luggage in her final known movements around Bergen.
Exactly. The suitcases are found by train station staff on November 27th, and police are informed. Tragically, on November 29, 1970, at 1 p.m., a hiker and his 2 young daughters find the body of a burned woman in Isdalen. The police arrive at 2 p.m. and begin their investigation.
A harrowing discovery. Charles, how did the investigation unfold in the immediate aftermath?
It was rapid and extensive. On November 30th, the crime scene was thoroughly investigated, and the body moved for autopsy the next day. Kripos, Norway's National Criminal Investigation Service, arrived in Bergen by December 1st. Fingerprints were sent to Oslo, and tissue samples for toxicology. On December 2nd, the police collected her suitcases from the train station, finding many items, but crucially, all labels and identifying marks had been removed from her clothing and possessions.
The involvement of Kripos so quickly speaks to the seriousness with which the case was viewed. For them to be on the scene, coordinating with local police, highlights the complexity and potential national implications they foresaw.
Indeed, the blood tests, completed by December 8, showed a weak positive for AD** type, possibly suggesting Asian origins, along with a K+ antigen. On December 5, the toxicology report revealed 4 milligrams of the sedative phenomyl in her blood, and multiple undissolved tablets in her stomach. This dosage, while not fatal on its own, would have heavily sedated her. Also, the smell of petroleum from a fur-trimmed hat found under her body indicated the use of an accelerant.
So, heavily sedated and burned. This leads to the big question. What was the official conclusion?
The official conclusion from the police, announced at a press conference on December 21st, was that suicide was the most likely cause of death. They flatly rejected theories that she was a foreign spy, suggesting she was likely from Paris. However, this conclusion has been widely questioned over the years. At the time, handwriting analysis confirmed all the hotel forms and the coded log were filled out by the same person, confirming her use of multiple identities. Though modern research suggests her last handwriting identity differed. But despite appeals and detailed sketches published in newspapers, her true identity remains elusive. Even after Interpol involvement and requests to French and Belgian police, none of her aliases led to a real person.
The idea of suicide, given the scene, was certainly one possibility, but the swift and public dismissal of the spy theory by the police was notable. In the context of the Cold War and Norway's sensitive geopolitical position, espionage was a very real concern, and a potential spy would have been handled by the POT, the Norwegian secret police, who did join the investigation on December 8. The public messaging might not have reflected the intelligence community's true assessment.
A very good point, Angela. The case remained open, with further inquiries into a traveler's check used, and interviews with individuals like a man named Schulman and an Italian photographer called Trimboli. But ultimately, on February 5, 1971, the Isdal woman was given a Catholic funeral in Bergen, as police believed she might be French. She was buried anonymously, with just 18 members of the Bergen police force in attendance. Although one was a female police officer, her identity remains one of Norway's greatest unsolved mysteries.
A truly fascinating and tragic story. That's all for today. A big thank you to our guest researcher, David Morgan, for providing our topic and his research of Norwegian sources.